Okay. All right. How are people doing? I need to see if there is any way. Okay. Design. Live stream. Huh. Well. Hello, Tabby. Okay. So, people can see I've been doing a little bit of work with R. I'll get back into that in just a minute, but I will look at my dictionary a little bit. I have been building some more vocabulary. I don't know what I realized that I made a mistake with all of these derived uh, adjectives regarding moods or regarding emotions, in that they technically should all take the chagi because they're all derived. So I went with that. I could go back and forth. It could be a little bit irregular. I've also um, one thing that I have am considering changing is that last week we decided that the copula for states would be circle, and if I can find that one. So it was igab. The thing about that is it works for some things better than others. One thing is, especially if I'm going to be using this postposition with it, it makes it feel very dynamic to me and maybe more about something that's expected rather than something that is. So I'm considering having this for some adjectives, and then I made a new one, Andy, and these will not necessarily be um, full on positional system like Ho Chunk has, but just like the verbs themselves for to be in a place are going to require that you have this standing or lying or circling. There's no sitting. Dragons don't sit. So it's going to be so it's like you're going to end up with one of these three. And I need to think a while on what the actual semantics of that are going to be. But that's some lexicon work. I'm doing a lot of lexicon work off screen just because there's so much of it to do. So there's a few things like after our discussion last week, I'm thinking that I might do a special thing on colors, taking possibly taking some of Logan's advice on making the dragons tetrachromats. It's a little bit complicated to me, considering that I want like a broad base of people to be able to use this language, but that I might be able to work it in a way that I can make them tetrachromats, but the actual colors won't be super complicated. Because if you like look at color terms in human languages, they don't, I mean, technically every system covers the whole color space, but they don't distinguish things as much as real human beings do, right? So you have that whole cycle of first you have white and black, then you add red, and then it sort of splits off in some different ways as to which one you would add, right? So a lot of languages are walking around with just basic color terms for black, white, and red. Well, that cuts out a whole lot of the trichromat color space as just undistinguished, right? So we could end up, I'd have to look into it more. We could give them tetrachromat vision, but not give them like a very big set of color terms that way. So that's something for the future. Today, and can y'all see what I've got here? I have worked up some tables. So I didn't put these into Word yet, so you guys get to see what my sort of working... How do I zoom? My working document looks like. Basically, I have my features over here, the feature values here. This is before I write up nice charts in the Word doc. And I put a count, and usually this is percentage, so I'll move over to here. This one has a percentage, right? Oh, there's a zoom here, but it's not working. Why is zoom not allowed? That's okay. Zoom, 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 zoom. See here, this is a percentage times 100. That's a percentage, right? It's the smaller number divided by the bigger number times 100. That's how you do a percentage. Here I decided I did a percentage first, and then I decided, you know, this one, it's probably gonna work to have a D20 table. So I just did it. So I just go times 20 instead of times 100, and you get how many 20ths of a thing it is. And then you do this column is to round that number off, because dice only work in integers. And these columns calculate what the actual target numbers will be, the low end and the high end. So, in case people want to know how I construct my dice tables, but this means that we're going to be doing some dice rolling today. And the thing that I want to work out today is, how does this language handle negatives? And, you know, I think as long as people can see well, we can do this without having to do anything fancy. So this we will get to in a minute. I think I want to roll on this table first. So this table, Grandbank actually just lists 3 possibilities for how negation is realized on the verb, or in a clause. Either it's some kind of morphology on the verb. Their exact wording, I can pull up their exact wording here. It's uh, oh, and I'm trying to make cleaner R scripts so that I can eventually share these. Can standardization be marked by an affix, clitic, or modification of the verb? So that's basically a category noting any verb morphology at all. And that was a while. Okay. I should not be looking at my numbers while I'm doing this. Okay. So that one. The other one is, can standard negation be marked by an inflecting verb, aka an auxiliary verb? That that's a possibility. Or can standard negation be marked by a non-inflecting word, an auxiliary particle? Oh. Um, and let me just bring up here. I had it up a minute ago. Let me grab the, because we can actually talk about this if I can find the correct tab. There. We've got all of these. Oh, and if you're doing stuff with Grambag, it actually helps to read the summary and the coding instructions and the examples, because sometimes you might read a feature title and not really understand what it means. So it's kind of important to do that. Okay, okay, here we go. Negative. Yeah, negative. So, funnily enough, English has at least two of those. So, we have an affix, clitic, or modification of the verb. So, the nt in isn't or don't, that counts. So, we can inflect the verb for negative. We do have a not. Usually, it still needs some kind of auxiliary. Do not, is not. Those as verbs, as matrix verbs, those can take it. It's not this he saw, not it. This is the source they used. It looks to be the Cambridge Grammar of the English Language. They marked that as ungrammatical. To me, he saw not it. He saw not it is wrong, but he saw it not is just archaic, right? So we can have that in some places, but regardless, we do have the not particle. So we have that, and this is saying you don't have. So, and this is important. So we get to understanding how this is coded. And this, I think I misunderstood how features that involve auxiliaries were working before, because I didn't get this before, and I might have been able to do things a little bit differently. But here it's saying that, like, the negator itself is not an auxiliary. Yes, it can be marked on auxiliaries. It's often marked with auxiliaries, but like don't, the meaning of don't is not negative. The meaning of don't is the supporting do plus a negative particle, if that makes sense. So, or not negative particle, negative inflection. So that's Microsoft Teams now supports 3D and VR meetings. My company does not use Teams, but if anybody is using Teams and your boss is going to have a 3D meeting now, my condolences. Okay. Anyway, okay. Let's actually get into the conlanging part now, and we're going to roll some dice. So we're deciding whether it's verbal morphology, an auxiliary, or a particle that marks the negative. And why is my dice bag out? That is a question. That is an interesting question. So let's grab a percentile die, which is actually 2 dice, which y'all should know. Some of you probably are more familiar with the dice than with the linguistics. I don't know. I keep getting the tens one and not the ones. There. Let's make it the same color. Okay. Okay. So now you guys can see the dice and the table at the same time. So let's roll for how negatives are marked. So we got a... Can you guys see the dice? We got a 90? Yeah. Can you guys see the numbers? It's not very clear, is it? 90, 99. What? Did I really get a 99? Yes. Okay, so here's the deal with getting 99 on that roll. There are a lot of languages that just didn't have any of those, the negation things. And there's a lot of questions I have about that data because a lot of them don't have any notes. So let's actually go into the languages that are like this, okay? And for that, I'm going to need to use R, and we're going to we're going to go with the negative negative morphology. You know what? Actually, I need to print that. So we're just, you know what? I'm just going to go through all those languages now. Let's go figure this out. So let's do, I have negative morph done. So I'm going to go here and write that to a CSV. Apologies for the technical stuff. I did not expect to roll this. And I need to show you guys my issues with this data that may need a lot of work to revise my table in the future. So let's write this. And we will go get the okay, why is it open file location? What did I not write it as? Yeah, negative morph. I should have negative morph.csv. So let's go ahead and so for the languages that have none of these things, okay? There's a lot of ways that I could do this, a lot of creative things I can do. Um, but I just want to show you guys the data because it's a little bit weird. So let's sort by the GB107, GB298, and GB299 so that we get anything that has none of these. And there's quite a few languages here. So all of these languages are listed in GramBank as having none of these ways of marking verbs, marking negatives. So let's go start looking through them. And I haven't actually looked through all of them before, but we can go one by one and go in there because I think it's going to be valuable. Let me see. Did I? No. Let me just close all my other tabs. And we will open a tab for each one. So it's hard to fit all of this on one screen. So start with Ati. And we'll get Belep. And this is gonna be wild. Not a single. Is it going to be marked with a noun? Am I going to be marking on the subject? That's the question. And hopefully we can answer this. Bobonko. That's Chitimacha. Some of these, I've seen some of these. Coastal Naga Bicol. Ta'akalili. It's all languages that you've never heard of, unless maybe you're a linguist who has worked in some particular area where they're spoken. And we go to, where's my thing? Okay, I'm going to have to move the Excel file to my other screen to make this faster. Darumbal. Tumbea. It's absolutely riveting watching me open 36 tabs here. I'm sure. Some of these are like dialects from particular regions, huh? The curse of the short language name. Okay, this is three. 3 must be it. Western Durango Nahuatl. How about that? And Yawuru. Okay. So there are 36 of these languages that are, and that should tell you, like, we're working with a fairly small piece of the sample, and like if these all did the same thing, then it probably would have been a feature. So there must be a lot of different things going on. Some of it must be coding error. Some of it might be something else. So let's go. Let's look up the negative features in all of these. So this is. So here's the first issue. Okay. Um, the Yeah, so here we have, so here this person coded this as zero, but this language actually does use particles. So that's straight up a misanalysis, right? And this is something you have to look out for in when you're using gram bank data and you have something that's a small number of languages and it doesn't seem to make sense. Like the idea that all of these languages don't use any of the three strategies that they identified is a little bit odd, right? So we're looking into it just to be sure. So this one we can't learn anything from it. This is a miscode. This one, Belep, okay. Um, let's go negatives for this one. This one you have no nothing for this. nothing for this, nothing for this, and they didn't leave any notes at all. So unless I go and wade through the entire grammar of this language, I have no idea. I don't have no idea why it was coded this way. So that one I can't learn anything from. Sorry to be just complaining about this one. No notes. Again, this one. I need to do the features negative. So no mention in the section covering verbal marking. And then no here, no here. But there was no section on negation. And also, there is an issue with the coding instructions for these features in Grant Bank. I see because they have the 3 different features, and all of them read the same way. They say, find the section deals with a negation. If suppletion, if these things are used, yeah. So they're look into more sources. Uh, yeah. So here, but it doesn't have. But they don't have any mention of how to have a question mark. So this one doesn't have any question mark. Okay. There you have question marks, whether the inflecting word marks negation, right? But the others, like, there could be some kind of verb marking, and they just didn't find it. So that's something to think about. This is something I need to think about when I'm constructing my thing. So this one, no notes. I don't know what happened. This one. This says no information here. That's a different feature though. So, but it has no notes on the morphology versus versus particle versus auxiliary. So there's no note here. There's no note on this one. So here we get like a clue, huh? So there are negators mentioned. You have ya and be, right? But for some reason it was marked as 0 for all of these. So what is the deal with that? Why is it like that? It doesn't seem to make any sense. We can refer back to that one. This one doesn't have any note, so we don't have any idea why. Yeah, let's go with can standard negation. No notes here. What did I do there? So here's an interesting one that we could work with. So in Ranonga, and I don't know how to pronounce that name. I don't have time to look up pronunciations for all these if I use them later. Here it says this is a clitic that attaches to a preverbal subject. Okay, that one is one that I could look into. So the predicate under negation is either subordinated or nominalized to act as an adjunct of a preceding negative predicate. It is thus a matrix verb rather than an auxiliary. So what I'm understanding is that the negative marker is the matrix verb. Now I don't like this coding because in English also our auxiliaries are basically they cause the it's maybe not exactly subordination, but they do cause um the main lexical verb to go into some kind of non-inflecting form, either a participle or an infinitive. So this is making me think maybe this is not like maybe this is not coded right. Maybe this actually should be saying this is an auxiliary verb, especially since the auxiliary verb here is in quotation marks and it's really saying should it be, is it marked on an inflecting word, right? So that one we'll keep just to note that. Now I haven't seen this. So three particles are used for negation, but why did you... What is this? So that now these comments are confusing. So principal negative. So this is saying there's particles. But then we look at the particle are either not part of the standard negation paradigm or used in imperative negation. What? Okay. Standard negation is always accomplished via negative verbal or sentence add suffixes. But you said no to this one, right? Hi, Topher. I mean, we're not working on plurals today. I'm working on negatives, but I'm sure some people in the chat can help you, point you to some resources. We did number marking way back in one of the early episodes for this. Um, that's an idea, though. If I get to doing a beginner series, that would probably be one that I would do. You, if anybody else in the chat can help Topher with some resources, that would be cool. Um, let's keep looking at this. Okay, this one has no notes, so I don't know what's going on there. This one has no notes. This one has no notes. Is marked on the particle / auxiliary if one is present. What that means, I have no idea. It's not marked by an inflected word, but it can be marked on an auxiliary. Right? We don't really have any auxiliaries, so we can't really do that. No notes. No notes. No notes. Marked by an enclitic. So, okay, this might be useful. I am not super Like, I feel like this should probably have been coded 1, but I understand why somebody decided not to. Because it can be a clitic on the verb. But that's iffy. So, um, okay, this is saying negative roots is the only negation mentioned. Um, thanks, Tabby, for helping with that. Yeah. Um, negative roots is only the only negation mentioned. I don't know what negative roots even means. We can... No notes. No notes except for this, like, weird, it must have been transferred from another database. No notes. No notes. There is an affix by which the negative verb is nominalized, which, whatever that means, we can keep that to have an idea. Maybe we can look further into that language. No notes here. No notes here. No notes here. Almost through all of these. No notes here. No notes here. I'm seeing quite a few of these can be marked clause initially, but it doesn't seem to be a full pattern. So, here is our deal. Here's what we're dealing with. A bunch of these languages don't have any notes at all. The ones that do, there are a handful that are marked incorrectly. And then there are a few interesting ones that will that give ideas for how this can work. Now, one thing is this is standard negation, so we might have an opening to be able to do something fun. We might have an opening to use auxiliaries or particles or verb inflection for other things. So let's actually do the other role. And I am open to any ideas for the chat for strange ways that we can mark negation that don't involve a particle, a verb inflection, or an auxiliary, so that we can have some idea of how that could work. We have one idea from one of these languages that it's marked on the subject. I kind of want this language to be pretty heavily pro-drop, just so that I can choose how long my sentences are. So that might not work for us, but we can see what else we can do. Meantime, I have a D20 here, and I have another thing. And this is whether or not different kinds of negation use the same strategy. So one feature is the prohibitive marked differently. I think I can pull up the wording here. Is there a difference between the imperative, prohibitive, and declarative negation constructions? And then, is verbal predication marked by the same negator as all of the following types of predication: locational, existential, and nominal? So actually, this the different one is going to be 1 here. It's going to be 0 here. Right? I can double check once we roll. So let's roll a d20 and check our table. That's getting high rolls today. What weird configuration are we going to get with this high roll? So it's 1 and 1. So that means, let me double check the feature description, the feature description here. So prohibitive. Here it has, so find a section. If there are two different negators, code for one. If negative imperatives contain the same but systematically different order, code 1. Are expressed in the same elements, code 0. So actually 1 means that there is some difference between the prohibitive and declarative. So let's go on to 140. If at least one of these three has a different negator from verbal negation code, the feature is 0. So basically, and I should probably rearrange this because this should be actually pretty common. The most special one is this, although it seems to be super common to have it like that. So, not just common, but also like not particularly interesting, right? This would be the most interesting option. This means just the prohibitive is different. Okay, so this is something we'll think about. Is if you're telling somebody don't do something, right? If we have an imperative negative, then the construction is going to be different. So let's. I did not expect these rolls. Clearly. And the design of my table may have to. Do I want to roll for? No, I think if we do clause initial and clause final, it's going to even make things even weirder. So I think I'm going to just decide on where exactly this marking happens. And then we're going to think about how all of this is going to make any sense at all. So let's go. How do I do not remember. Okay, here we go. Let's go to my headings and then go to constructions. And we can get this here. So negatives. So going through all of that, I'm thinking that I really need to adjust my table because this is so full of misanalyses and things that I don't know, that I'm gonna have to investigate and see, like, maybe this is just gonna be if you roll 100 instead of if you roll 99. But given that I don't actually know where to put the other point is right now, and I am not like, I mean, I could go and say it's all three, but this is going to be its own issue, and that I've already rolled here. I'm just going to go with it, and just we're just gonna deal with the fact that somehow it's not marked on verbs. There's no particle. So I think the easiest one is the mark it on the subject. But how am I going to square that? It needs to be heading 3. So first of all, let's get our rules. No verb inflection, particle, or auxiliary. Negation. Prohibitive constructions are different from standard negation. So that's our 2 rules that we're going with. And we are an hour into this thing. Yeah. Plural-esque thing on the object. Either the subject or the object. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Let's work on this. Yes. Okay, so subject or object. Let's borrow an idea from one of them, that this is a clitic that attaches to whatever. This might violate things a little bit because it could end up landing on the verb. Okay. Here's what I'm thinking. We have a proclitic that attaches to the first word in the sentence. And it doesn't matter what that word is. It just attaches there. This is why I didn't roll for whether it occurs at the beginning or the end, because this helps me, right? So so we could, let's think about what let's look up World Lexicon of Grammaticalization, and I'm going to see if it says anything about negatives. Okay, lack. So, all right, so we can have lack or lose, leave or abandon, okay, we can have, okay, that's interesting. That's a different deal. Stop, negative imperative. So stop can become a prohibitive. I think if we do 2 different verbs. Okay, but a verb would end up going towards the end, right? So this is... Okay, no. No. It was a verb, but it... This is such... This is so weird. It's gonna be weird. So it's a verb initially that got cliticized to the word before the verb. And if there is no word there, then we end up with we end up with a because there's always going to be actually a subject and object. So we can always say, or I guess not always. If we'll have to deal with whether verb constructions later, and maybe they'll have to have dummy subjects because of this. But it cliticized to the word before the verb and got so tied to that if otherwise you would delete all of the arguments, you do have to have a free pronoun for this to attach to. Okay, this is very strange, but this is what we're going with. And we're going to load up. We're going to look at what we have and see if lose. And then we're going to, I already have a verb stop that we used for something else. Stop. Cha'e became the this became the is somebody talking to me? I should mute Discord again. Or is it... Oh, that's Mastodon. Okay. Yeah. Cha'e became the... Okay. This became... So we're probably not going to use that suggestion. So lie down, continuous. Yeah, we could have that, these kind of things. Existential uses the same construction. So that's going to be need a dummy. That means our existential is going to require a dummy subject too. No. Wait. Not necessarily. Okay. So the only suggestions that it has is for someone should make that is lack or lose or abandon or leave, abandon, let. Not sure if I like either of those for this particular use. So if people can help me with ways for some kind of a verb, and I'm probably not going to use chat because that could get confusing. So we do a different verb for the permissive, for the prohibitive. There's only standard negation that doesn't have this. So we can do something on the verb for prohibitive. I think that's where I'm going to go with that. So let's think of, okay. Let's just make a root. I will figure out what it meant in a bit. And let's go ahead. We're voting, folks. We're first vote of the stream an hour into the thing because I had a mental breakdown about how my dice tables work. Um, let me see here. Um, where's my Firefox? Okay, there it is. It's there. Okay, so let's pull up Lexifer. Let's give ourselves five roots. Well, this is going to be reduced, so it's not a big deal. And let's run all of those through our sound changes. By the way, I'm thinking of a possible revision to the sound changes, not something that would affect too much. So we have Kaga. I want, whatever this is, I want it to actually have a a vowel harmony change because I do not I'm not going I have no other way to mark that this is like phonologically dependent. Um, so why okay, so Kaga is out. So let's apre epi each. I'm also not so fond because we tend to take the first syllable. So let's eliminate that and make it a vote between three. So let's do a poll. What is the origin of our negator clitic? Okay. between b, ebi, and iach. And while we're doing that, click into Stream Health, and it just says Stream is healthy. Stream Health is excellent. That's very informative. Let's see. Okay. Meanwhile, so whatever our clitic is, I can be working on the structure while we do this. Let's go ahead and grab this. And I'm gonna make this all. I'll take off the bold and take off the, make it all that color. Doesn't eat meat. And what it's going to do, badafbe, and we're going to have our negator here. We can go we can go with other things later to ooh, and this is not a bachitabe, it's just a chitabe, barafbe, whatever it is, a chitabe. So okay, we've got 3 votes. We got some votes out. People give you another minute or so to get votes in, just so that we have people represented. And let's see here. I didn't really expect for vowel harmony to spread onto clinics in the at first. But I think that's going to be the way that it ends up going, because I need some way. So this is something you have to think about if you are talking about cliticization. All a clitic is something that is phonologically attached but not necessarily morphologically attached. And a key piece of evidence for that is going to be that there is some kind of phonological reduction or some kind of some phonological effect. Now, in this case, the fact that it's a clitic and not an affix is partly going to be just the fact that this grammatical meaning doesn't make a whole lot of sense being attached to this word. But also, a lot of times clitics might follow slightly different phonological rules than affixes. So it's something to consider. If you want to use clitics, you have to like consider that it's going to be phonologically dependent on something that it's not actually modifying grammatically, and this can have some implications for how rules apply and things like that. Um, okay, I think I've given you guys enough time, so I'm going to end the poll, and we've ended up with Ibby, right? So let's make a new word, Ibby. Um, it was just epi. Epi. It was just epi in the first place. We're going to make this a verb intransitive, and then that means that we're no verb must be transitive, right? Verb transitive. And to abandon. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with abandon. I think that's fine. It's a little bit. The meaning has twisted quite a bit from that, but we can work with that. And then I can do my table in a second. I can just do my table from any other verb, right? Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to copy the table and do it by hand easily, because it's literally just going to be, so we're going to have Gibby, Bebby, Debbie, Drebby, Bebby, Gibby. Yeah, it's just going to be that. Okay. But the key thing is we need to have ib etymology ibby clitic, I guess. No, not negative marker. So here we have it. So okay, here's what I'm going to do in order to make this slightly different. It is going to follow vowel harmony rules, but it does not. With affixes, I have a rule where the affix replaces where a vowel initial affix replaces the first the last vowel in the root or the stem. Okay, so if that one, it would just be badaf bip here, right? Or for God, it would be gadeb. But I am not going to do that. Instead, we're going to insert a glottal stop. So I'm going to have this, and I will reflect that in the pronunciation guide. That when it is preceded by a vowel, you add a glottal stop. So this is going to reflect the difference between, and it's not, you know, it's kind of, there are some affixes that are also just start with a glottal stop or have a glottal stop involved. So it's not going to be 100% clear, but that's fine. That's good even. Because like real languages are difficult to analyze because they have irregularities and weird things happen with them. So, and then just to highlight that this is just attaching to the first whatever it is, I'm going to go ahead and change this, and it's going to attach to ephib. So bold it so you can see which morpheme is the negation marker. Whatever thing ends up before the verb. And so let's make another example just to make sure this is illustrated. G right? Is that right? And, chita. Eat? What is the word for eat? Chitta. Okay. And our first person is going to be Gachita with a third person object. Gachitabe. I made this table before I changed my romanization, so I'm going to have to retype it as the correct troll. So Gachitabe. But if you have something, what you have to do here okay, Guda, yeah, Guda is first person singular. Yeah, Guda. Okay. Yeah, it's called Obsidian. It's basically like a personal wiki, which is really handy. Yeah, because so okay, I'm going to have this. So Gachitabe is fine, right? And this just means I eat it. Let's actually let's get Chitabuchi to make it I can eat it. Ing. Right? Just to make it a little bit like more of a natural sentence. But if you have to say I can't eat it, this the ebb by itself, that is ungrammatical. That is not allowed. So what you have to say is Guda Gıdaib. Gıdaib. Gıçıtıbucing. I can't eat it. Or you can instead, let's go, what's the object, third person object pronoun? Pronouns, third person accusative ubesp. So So oh, so ubespeb. This also just means why is it ah oh okay. Okay, let's try to. There we go. This also just means I can't eat it. Okay, so that's actually cool. So there's the way to document it. So here we have it. We have figured out our standard negation. Okay, so okay, so we don't need this node anymore because we don't need to, because we've already figured it out how this makes any sense. So we're just gonna remove this and have an explanation. Negatives are marked with the suffix eb. I want that word, I swear I do want that to be that orientation. Okay. Which attaches to the word before the verb. If argument dropping would typically leave nothing before the verb, include an explicit pronoun. And it can be subject or object. Most likely it's going to be subject because, and then we'll have to deal with the fact that like weather constructions, like it's raining and stuff, they're going to have a dummy pronoun because of the way this works. Unless I can find some other clever way to make weather verbs work that doesn't do a dummy pronoun exactly like English. But either way, that's fine. We can work with that. Now, we have to make the prohibitive different. So I think the best thing to do when we're looking at prohibitive is go back to our imperative and see how that works. So Imperatives is realized with a prefix gita for singular subject and gre for plural subject. So we from gintrisp. So what happened was this gintrisp ended up um, becoming an imperative prefix, right? And and it ended up also getting like um, uh, it ended up actually getting like fused with the second person subject marking. So that's why it's gita or gita and gri from it's basically gi plus the dri prefix gri. So we could probably do something similar, right? Um, so stop is suggested. We already have a word for stop. Chae. We could chata. Okay, so I at first I was thinking that chae was not going to be what I were do, but actually I think we can go with it because it's going to be at the beginning of the verb. So how about so just for anybody who doesn't remember or hasn't been here, this perfective suffix cha comes from the verb chae that means to stop. So our our question is, do we do a derivative of chae as a prefix, or do we go with something else? And how about I ask you guys, how do we form, so what is the etymological source of our prohibitive marker? And, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to make that a poll. What is the etymological source of our prohibitive marker? Chae stop. So I'll give you guys the choice whether we're going to go with chae or we can always make another word. And whichever one you think is interesting, just vote for. What's that? Things getting a little bit weird with the voting. So, let's see here. Yeah. And Topher, so just to show you, the biggest thing about this system is um, I I mean there's probably lots of different ways to use it, but I like to do this when I have words that are derived from another word. Um, in fact, let's create the. Did we make the negative particle? Right? Not. We created that, right? When we created this negative particle, we can backlink it to Ebby. And I have this cool map that shows all of the connections for words. So I've done a lot of work with some derivational affixes, and they create this giant mess here. It's kind of hard to parse, but it's cool to see. Um, but and I mean, I did this even with a, and like eventually, this is just going to be all connected because once you do derivation, you end up using all kinds of different things. And I can show how the lexicon has been built up over time. Um, that's just a cool visual to have. It's not really that practical, but it's it's interesting. And I can see, okay, this node is this id suffix, yeah. But anyway, the main thing is that I can follow these backlinks back to see, okay, she is the post position in, and I go back and, okay, this makes sense. So Abashiki has this in, and I have the Abba means cloud or fog. Okay, so it means, so confused and uncertain is literally in a cloud. Um, and this is just making it an adjective. So it's good for a reference, yeah. Willow, yeah, it's great. I like it. Yeah. This is what I do is I have depends on what I need. So I just put the etymology, and if it links, if it's just a basic word, then I just put the proto word there. If it is related to other words, I link to them. Um, then I have my pronunciation guide, um, word class, definitions here, and um, any kinds of inflection charts that I want to include. Yeah. Um, yeah. It. I mean, it can be. Yeah. The local graph. What's Is there a separate local graph? Oh, I have seen like like if we have the um we can show the backlinks, and then we can see all of the ones that use she, right? I have Abashiki, and Empashiki. It's and you go back there. That's in the cave or in the lair, and it means safety, right? Yeah. Um, so it's a cool thing too. Okay. We got some more people than we have votes. So let me give, but I think you guys. Okay, I'm gonna give this warning, and then if you don't vote, pretty soon I'm going to be closing it. So let's get it hurried up. But yeah, anyway, I like Obsidian for dictionaries. Um, Yeah. I mean, I have other. Let me see. Excel. I have other like things. If you've been here for a long time and remember my old Lexember streams, then you may remember seeing this is just a spreadsheet. This can be useful if all you're doing is making like two members of a family. That can be, you can lay out everything in a spreadsheet. The thing is, the wiki format is helpful because I can have, let's find something that has lots of, um, you know, has, if I have multiple meetings, it's not easy to do that on a spreadsheet. It's very much easier to do that in the wiki format. So I generally will prefer to use Obsidian for a dictionary once I'm just working on a single language. Okay. Okay, I think everybody has voted who is going to, so let's end this poll. So you guys said it's just going to be chat. So here is what I'm going to do with that. We're going to do um, a similar process to um, let's actually look at what is the etymology of chae. What? Let's stop. Chae. Oh, do I still have an okuna in there? Yeah. Or what? What is the name for it? Oh, just, I forgot the. I have the. It's not okuna. What's the word for the Hawaiian? Not actually an apostrophe, but it marks a level stop. I had that in there before. So, so it was tiae, right? So we can do fun things with that. Tiae, chae. So let's go. Let's work on. This is actually from the older form. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how we did this. So we went from gintris to just get, and then the get even just disappeared, right? That's not necessarily going to work here because the if we look at the verb agreement, the second person, this is just three. If we change that to three, I don't feel like it's enough of a difference. And tree is not available, but wait. Ta, we can have chata. So we can go with chata. It's a little bit obvious. Chadri and chata versus tita and t3. Okay, linked view and open graph. Okay, linked view. What is linked view? Open linked view. Open local graph. Oh, okay. So if I do that on this one, close. How do I close that? Um, Chata. Chata is the chat, huh? Um, okay. Okay. Open linked view. Oh, it's already got it. Right. So empa shiki. Okay. And we can go to she. Oh, that's even better. That's actually definitely useful. And we can even go back to there. We can do all of the things that have the kiss suffix. That's cool. Okay. So, hmm. So, yeah, it's people, yeah, it's lag happens here. Okay, so I think that chata, chata, chadri. I think I'm just going to leave it. Okay. So if we take, where is our example of the, I don't have an example. Yeah, I'm going to keep it as cha because I just, the ways of reducing it in the way that we did here with the gri, it's not going to work here. So we can have the cha negative negative imperative is marked by the prefix cha. So there we go. We have done our negative constructions. And I actually think this is pretty good. This is actually cool. So I will end up working up some examples and such so that I can actually like get a handle on how this is working. But yeah, we have our negatives. I'm going to have to think a little bit more on what we're going to do with our copulate, whether we're going to keep this egab or igab. It's hard to do that. Igab. Or we're going to split the meaning further and have the lie down and stand be a part of that. So watch out for that coming up. and we'll cover copular constructions next. Um, and then start getting into I need to figure out how to form questions, how to make all the different subordinate clauses. And after that, we should be ready to actually, well, after that, I probably want to figure out some kind of like poetry conventions and um, technically from there we can go straight to writing incantations, but we need to see if we're going to do writing. um I think I want to do a writing system. I'm just not super confident when it comes to like font tools and everything. I haven't made a writing system in a long time, so that can be something that's coming up. We'll see how that works out. I am thinking of ideas for the writing system. Yeah, yeah. See you, Topher. Glad people could help you out. So I think I'm going to end it here today because I don't really have anything else prepared to show you guys and get going on right now. So um, so next time, look out for doing some more syntax constructions because we are at that point where we need to flesh out our syntax and get that going. We'll work on questions. We we might work on the copular constructions. We might be working on questions, stuff like relative clauses and subordinate clauses, and those kinds of things are going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And um, I'm going to have to decide whether we're going to jump to writing or we're going to write our spell incantations before we do the writing system. We'll have to see. I have ideas for writing systems, so it's definitely something in the cards to be working on. With that, I'm going to say thank you all for watching, and thank you also future people who are watching this later for watching through the whole stream, and happy conlaying. Okay.